All right, guys, here we are with another shave with Chiseled Face Midnight Stag for Austere August. And I've got the Midnight Stag aftershave and the Midnight Stag cologne that I'm repeating. I'm also, as you know, if you're a regular watcher, repeating the razor and blade and brush. The Jade, Faux Jade handled Omega brush from Connaught Shaving, the 011842. And we'll get that guy back in the water. Let him soak for a few minutes like you do most boar brushes. And Karve Christopher Bradley 3¼ inch gladius handle, B solid bar base plate. And of course, this is the brass model that they have. I'm going to open it up and we'll load the Nacet in there. Using this Nacet, and today I believe is maybe use number 427, something like that. The description there will have the exact write-up, and there's some etching that I put on the blade a while back, and I did a video of it so that we can kind of keep the flow of authenticity, because I've had several people claim that my numbers are just me making stuff up. In a way, I mean, sure, I could fake this, right? Like when it dips out of way, I could be grabbing a duplicate Karve razor with another blade already loaded, and now you see the different one coming in. I mean, you know, I'm not going to go to a lot of lengths to try to prove this. If you don't trust me, that's all right. It's your deal. It's just shaving anyway, right? All right. So the you can even see the glint of the razor blade right there. That's the curvy side where it is a little bent from where I dropped the razor head a while back. Today has got some differences. I'm refining my basin technique, where I just have a bathroom sink to go get water from, and so I needed something with a low height. And so I took this Dollar Tree bowl here, and the nice thing is it's got the pour spout. It easily fit into the sink. It maybe holds a gallon or 3/4 of a gallon of water. I use that to come back and put water in my basin, and that's my grab and splash my face, grab and rinse. That's my grab and rinse water, and it'll stay fairly clean, a little soapy, but fairly clean. I've got another bowl, a little bit larger than maybe a salad bowl, and it is I call it my swish bowl. It's where I take the razor head when it's got lather and stubble in it, and I need to clear it out. I'll take it over and swish around in that bowl. And so there we go. That way we keep my basin rinse water kind of clean of all the buildup and stubble, that kind of thing. I'm trying that out, right? It worked fairly well last time. This time I'm kind of starting from that viewpoint. I don't really have my pitcher anymore, a pitcher of the water, because I didn't really feel like I needed to take the time to pour some water in my hand to splash my face, because I've got the basin now full of water, and so that takes the place of it. So we're gonna move on, and speaking of which, is time to splash my face with some water. So that'll get my hair hydrating. Now here is the funny thing. Online, I've said a few times how I really have enjoyed interacting with you guys. Sometimes you bring me good ideas. Sometimes you alert me to an idea that I come up with that's already in play, and you say, hey, yeah, this exists over here, and you can go get it. And so then there's a product that I can go buy or check out or whatever. Or somebody could answer a question, like with the mail call video I did recently. This kind of looked like a vintage Merkur. I looked at the razor, and my guess was the razor was not a vintage Merkur. It looked pretty contemporary. It didn't look like it was brass. It looked like it was kind of the zinc alloy. And sure enough, I believe it was ivermectin, maybe, who got back with me about the fact that they're still selling these cases at least one retailer out there. So that's not a vintage piece. I'll shave with it after Austere August, because I haven't shaved with a 33C. Now, I believe most of those Merkur heads are all the same, and so I kind of know what to expect. but we'll shave with it anyway. That way, people who might be searching for it might find my channel and find some information about it. I'm not a guy who praises Mercurs a lot, and so sometimes it's good to have reverse opinions because there's just so many people out there who fawn all over Mercur, you know. And that's okay that they do that, and so people who want to search online are going to get that opinion in many cases. Now, one of the ways that you guys have helped me, one of you guys jumped in, and who was it? Was it John? Was the name John? I can't remember. He said one of his favorite lather bowls was a jello mold, an old school jello mold. Well, I happened to stumble upon a thrift shop today. And I went and I got myself a cool Rubbermaid pitcher, the old school kind that's really sturdy and nice. Got myself a little pressure cooker for like $6. Terrific. Looking forward to using that, making myself some beans. I got myself an air fryer. It's kind of smallish, but that's the kind we have at my other place. And I got it for like $7. So if it works, it's going to be great. It's small, but it's plenty for a bunch of fries. Tell you what, if you got French fries, even leftovers from a restaurant, the air fryer will bring them back. And if that's the one thing you do with an air fryer, it's worth it, right? But we just love it. We love all the things we cook with it. And so I got one of those, and I looked around, and I got a couple of bowls. And I don't think I found one that really jumped out at me as the perfect lather bowl shape, except for, look at this, huh? It's a jello mold from way back when, and I kind of wish these dimples were reversed, of course. You know, I'd rather not have the holes, but I got a feeling it'll do the job. And the measurements are pretty darn close to my preferred lather bowl that I've been using for so long. In terms of depth, it's pretty close. This one's less deep because it has a thicker bottom, you know, so they are almost exactly the same height otherwise, but this one is a little deeper because of the thinner bottom. But diameter-wise, again, they're just, this one is just barely a little bit bigger. And so I think it's going to be a neat bowl. And so this will be fun to try out today. All right. So the brush has had a nice time to soak now, and the razor's all loaded. How many seconds should we load today? Let's just do the 5-second standard. Go with that. Oh yeah, I was going to do more testing about the loading with the dry load. We'll do more of that later. For now, I want to keep it kind of normal here. All right, we'll just do 5 seconds. Almost done, and there we go. And then I'm going to, just like always, I'm going to take that kind of a little tiny bit of slurry that built up right there, and just kind of sweep it into the lather bowl. My grandma's lather bowl, and there we go. Now my preference is that, see, I think holes, the kind of agitation I don't want is the brush tips moving over something and then kind of skipping like a ramp and then falling into through the air and then hitting on something, kind of a slappy kind of situation. I don't really want that. I don't feel like that agitates I think it maybe introduces too much air. This is just an educated guess on my part. I could be totally wrong. Sounds great. It's nice and quiet. And when you do have lumps like this or abscesses, I think it's kind of important to make sure you change your direction every once in a while so you get the reverse side. Now, I don't really care that there are these undulations around the side because my work is focused on the bottom of the bowl. And I was hoping that these wouldn't be a problem, like lather wouldn't hide in the sides and then be hard to get. Well, worked pretty well. So now, oh hey, I forgot to load up my jigger. Let me do that. All right, we've got 40 milliliters of water here, and I'll go ahead and put some in there. And I don't think this soap base cares whether I add it fast or slow, so just as long as I get a nice mix here. Oh yeah, let me see if my, oh, and this is the first time I think I'm doing an actual shave with my new camera mount. It's different. See, it pans differently than before. So we'll have to figure things out together. I did the mail call video with the new camera mount, but I haven't done a real shave with it. See, and I have always pushed the lather down from the sides, and see, that's capturing the lather out from those fluted areas. And so I don't believe that the little recesses around the edge are going to be a problem. And those holes at the bottom, those I'm hoping will give my brush tips something to grab hold of so that my brush doesn't slide down into the lather whenever I have it kind of in rest mode. This is a nice, somewhat thick material, and so it's not giving us a lot of audio. It's wide enough to where you're not often hearing me whack the sides like that. Just take maybe a little bit of getting used to for me not to do that. Since the sides do come in certain places because of the fluting. Now what is this, copper? Is this going to react with any of my soaps in a negative way? Well, I wouldn't think so, because you've got Captain's Choice, who have been putting out a copper bowl now for a while, so surely it's okay, right? We're looking at a pretty firm lather right now still. Now, I had a lather that looked good last time, but then when I went to put it on my face, it relaxed a whole lot and was too thin. So that reminds me, let me press on my brush a little bit to make sure that the wetness at the core of the brush is exposed to some lather, and then maybe it won't come out during the shave. And I've already put 20 milliliters of water in. So why don't we just use this lather and see if we can kind of counter the shave I had last time where it was too wet. It still performed well. No, this just looks, look at the detail there. You see the ridges and rise and fall, that kind of thing. Okay, finger test. Let's do that. See, it feels very light. So yeah, I think I should go ahead and use it and not keep adding water. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just going to work it for just another bit, and then we'll use it. Being this type of material, it's kind of better than glass, because if I drop it in the sink, if I were to be using it in the sink, then it's not going to break, cause any problems with shards everywhere. Okay, let's just kind of show you the, see, look at this big old blob. Look how it's supporting its own weight, no problem. So we're not dealing with a good bit of elasticity. He's holding on to his structure pretty well here, and he's staying as a big blob as he drops. But I got a feeling that might be where we need to stop today. Let's just see what happens when we use this lather. Put it on and see what happens. Still need to get a mirror Maybe I need to write that down so that if I go to a thrift shop again. Bought some shoes too. Bought 3 pair. 2 tennis shoes and some work shoes for when we finally go back to the office, whenever that is. Guys, a lot of research is showing that if you're vaccinated, even the D strain of COVID is, you're just avoiding serious complications if you're vaccinated and you get the D. You're just not dealing with a life or death scenario in the vast number of cases. Statistics are coming in, and the people who are having a hard time with these are in the majority. They're the people that just haven't gotten vaccinated. So please, if you're considering it, please do it. It helps you not to perhaps contract it, I believe, but it definitely, even in the rare case where you do get it, it makes it to where it's much more manageable and not a life or death struggle in most cases. So it's totally worth it. Feels pretty good. Unfortunately, since I don't have a mirror, I don't see how my lather is doing, so I'm not able to rely on the visuals as much because I'm looking at myself on the camera, on the cell phone, and of course my image is much smaller there, and I don't have access to that level of detail. This feels a little kind of thicker than what I normally might use, but it's not really gathering around my beard quite so much, and so maybe it's just right, who knows. I'm kind of going by muscle memory with this lather as I'm kind of rolling it, Looks like I've got tons of lather for all the passes that I need. Yeah, this feels drier than usual, but I'll just roll with it. You guys watching this probably are seeing it in more detail than I am as it's happening. All right, here we go. Nacet. Use number, 426 or 427, something like that. Now I believe 426 is what Myrna 183 took his blade to this past year, and I believe it's February the 21st. And so if you want to look in February of this year, 2021, on Reddit, on the wet shaving subreddit, look at February 20th and 21st. One of those should be the last day that Myrna used his choice. And it had just gotten rough for him the last several uses, and so he quit. And so it looks like we are pretty close to that, right? This may be the tying shave, and then maybe next time it's the tie breaking shave. Who knows? All right, a little splash of water now. The kind of a neat evolution recently, even back when I was using a sink, I had started not really rinsing my face as much between passes. I'd actually started to do just kind of one splash. Not really, I'd been doing partial rinses for quite some time. Not trying to get all the soap off, just kind of refreshing my face with some water, cleaning away some stubble perhaps, and not doing a full rinse. Well, now it's definitely advantageous in my current situation to not have to try to clear away all the lather because I'm dealing with a basin scenario here. This is almost like shaving blind because of the resolution of the camera. I really am relying on my muscle memory about You see, you know, right here I can't see my razor head. Like when I was over here and flipping it around to do something, I couldn't see it. I just had to kind of rely on my muscle memory to know where it was, and also just to slow down in those cases so that I didn't make a grievous error and slice myself. I'm liking this swish bowl. That takes a second to rinse out because you got the soap buildup around the edges there, but not too bad. So that's the second pass. I think I kind of enjoyed the building up of the lather in this bowl. Might have to use it for a while. I have a database where I record my shaves. Tonight it's going to be, it might be listed under miscellaneous bowl, but I'm going to create an entry for it. You know, jello mold. Copper jello mold will be the name probably. But I may experiment with more if I find more in the thrift shops. So maybe what should I call it? Dottie? I don't know. Maybe what I'll do is just call it copper jello mold, and if I ever get a new one, I can change the name, you know, and then it'll be reflected in my system. All right. Third pass now. During my first pass, that's when usually we're dealing with stuff a little bit more tuggy. And one side of my face, the left side, did receive a tuggy feeling, but the interesting thing is the right side did not. Oh, I just went with the grain, so let me switch. Now see, this lather's wet enough, slick enough for me to be able to just go back over that area real easy without having to re-lather. And yeah, nice residual slickness here. So we've got a well hydrated lather, so that one might be good. This bowl might be generating a nice lather for me. I'm not getting any inner tenderness or anything like that. So we've still got some stubble, a little bit, not really too much you can see, but some that you can kind of feel in some spots. But that's normal for an old blade. So fourth pass coming up. Enjoying the feel of the brush here. It is changing slowly, slowly, slowly. Comfortable. The bristle tips are nice and soft. It's got kind of medium backbone. Can't wait to use this brush that I showed you in my mail call video. Paladin Clio handle. Also posed a question to Scott today in a message about his batch B13, which is out right now. And I'm curious, the description of the tips kind of sounds like I might be interested in that. It's not an overly treated batch, so it's not going to be super jelly. And that's a big check mark kind of on my side. And he mentioned that the bristles in his description is right up on his website that you can see right now if you go and look, that the bristles were actually kind of thicker, and so that may mean bad news for me. That may mean more backbone than I normally might like. So I just sent him a message, and we'll see if he responds in a reasonable time frame. Because you never know when one of his batches is going to be kind of money for you, when it's going to be just right in your alley. Most of his batches are not where I like them to be. He goes for, I think he's going for more backbone, something higher than medium. and a lot of people love it, and that's just fine. But only batch 4 and 5 so far. I've heard batch 2, B2, is similar to kind of 4, and so I would love to try one of those, but that's super rare. Those are just super rare. They just never come up online in the used market. I don't know if I'll ever own one, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. All right. Yeah, quick rinse there. There's a little bit over here that I'd like to work on. I did do the against the grain right here, so I feel that's pretty good. I didn't really tackle this area on my left very much with a lot of focus, because it usually doesn't have a problem. So let's do that again. With kind of a cross grain, and I can feel a little bit of aggression right there, and so I bet that's a good pass. And if you want to do some touching up and you feel like you need a little bit more slickness, just reach down. If you have a really slick lather and a very light touch, you can often hit areas multiple times without generating a lot of irritation. And at least that's the way it works with me. I was reading some messages online today, and I found some people like to shave with an aggressive razor and go fewer passes, and they think their skin likes it more. I'm the opposite. I'd rather do 4 passes if I need to, and use a mild razor, and my skin likes it so much better. I often on this channel have used an aggressive razor like the Sterling stainless steel razor that came out, and some other aggressive ones like the Charcoal Goods, Blackbird, those types of razors, and I often end up without a very close shave because I don't feel safe in coming close to my skin. My skin just doesn't like it, and maybe I back off on my angles because it feels bad when I'm moving it on my skin, and I don't like to ride the cap very much. And so now maybe technique change on my part is better. Maybe I'm used to not having to make it be a mandatory thing to stretch my skin. Maybe that's a big difference. And so since I'm not doing that, that can play a big part in an aggressive razor moving across your skin. So that could be part of it. But see, I can go over my skin a billion times because I like really wet lathers. I bet a lot of those guys that use those aggressive razors, they have dry lathers. And so, number one, they have to cut through that thick dryness to get to their skin, and so they use aggressive razors to do that. They need more exposure to do that. But then they don't have that protection and that slickness that I do with a wet lather, with a really wet lather. And so that's why they don't like more than 2 passes of shaving. Their skin gets all inflamed and cut up because they just don't have the protection there. Anyway, that's my theory. I could be wrong. I am liking this bowl so far. Pretty neat. I did a good rinse, I think. So I think I'm in good shape. So talking here has given my face a chance to let me know if it's irritated, anything. I do feel just a little hint of tenderness over here. It's not anymore, but it was quick and it went away because I did give that side a little bit more work. But now it's fixed, it's fine, even before I put any goo on. And I haven't told you about the good ingredients in here in a while. It's got, in addition to it's an alcohol-based splash, of course, but it's got some good stuff in there too, like witch hazel. That's actually the next ingredient right after the first one, which is alcohol. So nice amount of witch hazel in there, aloe vera juice, calendula. It's got menthol, of course, vitamin B5 Pro. I assume that's something good for your skin. Look at me, old man. astaxanthin. I don't know what that's for, but it's in there. It's probably not a super nutritious ingredient. It's probably not skin food like we say, but it's probably needed because of something. Any stinging because of the alcohol? I felt just a little hint of it. So we got a nice comfy shave. In terms of irritating my skin, I just didn't really do it this time. And that's typical for this old smooth blade. Oh, hey, in the mail call, I told you guys about Slut Dragon that I got. And it was a benefit soap for people who participated in the different charity events in the Lather games. And it was free of charge by Your Friendly Pyro is the guy who does Try That Soap and a database online. And then he paired with Scott of Declaration Grooming to put this together. I've mentioned this on my channel. It was maybe 2 or 3 Lather games ago. And Your Friendly Pyro put together some codes throughout the games. He was throwing maybe not cryptographic codes, but there were hints and weird ways that he was talking that his friends probably should have picked up on. People who knew him online. I didn't really know him online very well, and so I wasn't able to pick up on some of his non-standard verbiage, right? But he was throwing these hints throughout the whole games. It was almost the highlight of the games for me when he came at the end of it and said, "I can't believe everyone missed it. Nobody let me know that they had any hint of what I did." He put effort into dropping these hints. He put thought work before the games to put them in the right places and to what he was going to do. He explained a lot of what it was, and he was so exasperated, and I think he was just expecting maybe somebody at the end was going to unwrap, his whole little secret, system, and they were holding it on till the end because they didn't want somebody else to pick up on it and claim the prize or whatever, right? And so he just went crazy at the end, and he said nobody got anything, and and so he promised to send everybody a puck of Colonel Conk lime for being so stupid. And it was kind of the running joke. Now, I actually like the performance of Colonel Conk glycerin soaps. If those were the only soaps I ever had, I wouldn't mind it all that much. They produce a nice lather that's performance-based, and I really like them. And so to me, it's not a big deal, but some people regard it as kind of the low end of the totem pole. I'd rather use Colonel Conk myself than like Taylor of Old Bond Street, something like that. The only thing Taylor's got for it is the scents. They're more interesting than, lime from Colonel Conk, right? But in terms of the performance, Colonel Conk beats it any day, at least in my book. So it was hilarious when he went off like that. It's in my mind. It was so funny. Well, since he's the one who teamed up with Scott, I didn't know what this was. And I may not have showed it to you guys on the video because I didn't know if this was some kind of manufacturing defect. You know what it is? You probably guessed it already. They are shreds of Colonel Conk lime he put on top of the shaving soap. That's awesome. That is so funny. I think I'm going to have to extract them and maybe put them in pieces as I use the soap. So that the first use doesn't dissolve them all. But that's it. Man. And this scent is changing. When I first smelled it, it was kind of red and fruity, like maybe passion fruit or something. I'm getting a little bit more of the, well, of course, I've got the Midnight Stag on me. That's affecting how I perceive the scent. I definitely smell rose and some florals in there. Somebody else said that, and I didn't pick up any florals at all the first time I smelled it. Now the rose is behind some other things. It's not forefront. Maybe some grassy or woody type notes. I'll have fun smelling this for a while before I use it. See if I can figure things out. But anyway, I figured out it wasn't a manufacturing defect. Those were shreds of Colonel Conk lime. Brilliant, hilarious, so good. All right, so I've got the menthol thing going here, and so now let's use the best part of the scent, the EDP, the cologne. No, we're not into the 4th week of Austere August, so it's 3 sprays is the standard amount, but I'm doubling it because I'm a stag head. One of you guys, maybe Zachary, I can't remember who, said, I'm going to call you Stag Daddy. You know, my abbreviation is SGRDDDY. And so instead of SGR, it was STG. You know, that's pretty funny. Stag Daddy. All right. So wonderful scent there. It's not masked behind the menthol of the splash. Oh, it's the truest representation of the scent, and it's just one of my favorites. I like it so much. So the 5 seconds of loading, I think I did at least 4 passes of lather, and as you can see, we've got a couple of passes still left here, and look at the elasticity. You see how I've gradually been, it's like the water that was left over from the rinses. It's been joining up with the lather in the brush, and my lather in the bowl is becoming more wet. So yeah, the parts where it sticks in toward my brush, those are what's kind of whacking a little bit. And so that may be a disadvantage to this particular design, but I tell you what, this design is helping me because it's showing me something that I've wondered about my 3D printed lather bowl that I've used for so long. You can see the inturned lip up here, and I've long thought that that was a good attribute to have on a lather bowl, because if your lather starts to come up the sides, maybe it's going to help it not to go over the side but to kind of fold back in. Well, as you can see, I definitely didn't have to worry about lather going over the sides with this one. And so I was able to, when I go back in my lather building process and I push the lather down from the sides so that that rich stuff that's up on the sides gets mixed in with the other stuff, the wet stuff in the bottom. Sometimes when I do that and I have that interned lip right there, it's a little bit harder, but when the lip is open right there, it's very easy to hit that mark every time. And so in my little mental picture of a perfect lather bowl, this flared out edge type here might be replacing the lip there. I mean, there's room in this little hobby for all kinds of things, right? Maybe there's more than one perfect lather bowl, right? But I'm thinking that flared edge might be the way to go. And I showed you guys, I did one lather with this bowl, and you can see how it's taller, and so there's no way that the lather comes up to the very edge, and so you're not in danger of the lather overflowing this edge, and so this has the same benefit because it gets wider at the top, and I don't knock my knuckles or anything with this size bowl. So I think I'm going to use these 2 bowls for a while and see what I can learn from them about how the lather behaves, and maybe they can help me make some good decisions about a custom bowl I might have made, or something like that. Pretty cool. So this one I got at Lidl. They're just kind of kitchen serving bowls, plastic. And this one I got at the thrift store. Pretty cool. Oh, 4 cups. I found some writing. It says it's 4 cups is the volume. Good to know. I don't see any other writing. Maybe there's some somewhere, but that's all I see. Those little divots in the bottom of the bowl did and do prevent the brush from sliding down into the lather. Very nice. Well, my skin feels nice. The I like the angle that the camera is working here. It's closer to me, and so hopefully my volume is coming across better for you guys who might need a little extra volume. The camera does shake a little bit when I tap the screen, and so unfortunately when we clip on or clip off there, you might have a little bit of shaking there. But hopefully that's minimal. The test of my jello mold lather bowl went really well. Really well. I am so glad. I believe it was John who mentioned this. I'm so glad he did, because when I found myself in the thrift store today, that was in my mind. And sure enough, they had a few different options. One of them was the wrong size, but this one was the right size volume bowl, the right shape, and then it had different divots and movements in it. So I don't know. I mean, the only failure it might have at this point is that it's hard to rinse, but I don't really see that happening. Terrific. Wonderful. You know, an idea I'm dabbling with is installing a whiteboard back here, since I've got a wall. Because then, what if I've got some point I'm trying to illustrate? I can just do a quick drawing back here. Wouldn't that be neat? So I might do that. All right. I think we're good. I sure hope there's been something good in this shave for you. I had the wonderful Midnight Stag experience, and I had a great success with the bowl. So very nice one today. Okay, I had to check before we signed off. Time passes when you're having fun. It is true, because today, this shave is the 426th shave with this blade, and that ties the record by Myrna 183. So it has been fun. I'm so glad that he took his approach as well. It's been great to counter with him in this journey, counter against him as well, play off of each other. He stropped his razor blade maybe on his forearm or something like that to kind of try to keep the edge conditioned. I'm glad he had that alteration, because I've been able to say, well, I don't strop mine, he strops his. We both have big numbers. He used a different blade, which is great, because I've been able to say the same thing about doesn't really matter as much what blade you choose. It seems to me that it's about your technique, your wet lathers, maybe drying the blade between uses, that sort of thing. So tomorrow's shave is going to be the tiebreaker, and then we'll moving on in new ground. And so I was curious if I would have to flip the blade before I got to his record, but no, I have not yet flipped it. So I've had 425 shaves on one side of this razor blade. I've always been pointing the little one, the X, the dots, that I show you guys. That's always pointing toward the handle. I made one mistake shave where I inadvertently pointed it toward the top cap, and so I can't say that it's a perfect record, but it's unflipped basically, and who knows how many uses we're going to get after we flip it. I don't know if it's going to be few or many. We'll just have to see. I might be interested in trying to find a microscope to see if I can look at that edge. I don't know. We'll see. All right, my friends. There we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys take care. Next shave, tiebreaker.